If you're a business owner or just a regular person who wants to start filming content, this video is for you. In a second, we're gonna go over 8 essential gear items that you need to take off. I run a video production business, so my gear might be a little different from what I show here, but what we're gonna talk about, that's pretty much how I was starting out, and I used majority of the items on this list, so I can kind of vouch for them. So, let's get started. First of all, probably the most important thing on this list is the camera. If you are serious about content, you will need one of those. iPhone does great videos, but there's just a lot of benefits to the camera. First of all, separation of the files, and that's a separate thing from your phone. And secondly, all the tweaks and everything else you can do with the camera to make the image look better. And if you're just starting out, I would recommend this bad boy, which is Sony ZV-E10. But I would recommend the second version of this camera. It can film 4K footage up to 60 frames per second. If it sounds confusing, you will just be able to do 4K footage in a slow motion. Another big advantage of the Sony ZV-E10 second edition is the 26 megapixel sensor. And it has 2x better runtime compared to the first edition. Basically, even Sony themselves saying that that's kind of the best camera when you are first starting to get into content. It costs just around $1,000 and it's a great investment if you're looking for something user-friendly and something that can serve you well. Now, we need a lens for this camera. When you're gonna buy a camera, they'll probably offer you to buy just a body or a body plus kit lens. Kit lens is 16 to 50 millimeters and the aperture is 3.5 to 5.6. To keep it short and more understandable, it's not a great lens. It will do its job, but it's gonna have a horrible low light performance, it's not gonna look that good, you're not gonna have that blurry background like all the influencers have, so I would recommend investing in a lens from the beginning. And this is the best lens you can probably find for video content. Sigma 16mm 1.4. Basically the aperture goes all the way down to 1.4, meaning you're gonna have a good low light performance. Another important factor, this lens is 16mm, meaning it's gonna give you a wide frame, so you're gonna fit a lot of stuff in a frame, and that's kind of exactly what you want if you just want to do a video content about general stuff. And lastly, the image quality that you're getting out of this lens is just amazing. I used it for video production, I filmed few arm wrestling events with this lens, I filmed few different other businesses, and the image looked great. I think on Amazon you can get this lens for around $400, it's pretty expensive, but trust me, it's gonna serve you well. Moving on, people need to hear you, so we need to take care of the audio. And audio is extremely important. I heard a phrase once, people will sit through a worse quality of the image, but people will not tolerate bad audio quality. So that's why you need a good audio solution. When I was just starting out, I was using this Rode Go microphone. And here's how it looks like without the wind fluff. You just mount it on top of your camera, connect it to your camera, and then you're golden. The only problem is Rode actually discontinued this series. They came up with something that's called VideoMic Go 2. It's around $100 and I bet it's even better than this one. Or another solution can be Rode wireless mics. Basically it's a set of receiver and 2 transmitters. You just connect receiver to the camera, grab a transmitter like this, and you can talk to it just like this. The whole beauty of the wireless mics, you can keep them closer to your mouth, so even if the camera is far away, you can still get the good audio. This is a pretty expensive set, I think it was around $400 something, but Rode actually just released Rode Micro Wireless series that is just above $100, and it's a kind of mini set of the wireless mics. I heard from a few creators that it's great, so if you're just starting out with the content and want some wireless mics, this is gonna be for you. So let's mount the mic to our camera. Like this, it's a little screw on. And now we just need to plug it in with this 3.5mm jack right here and to the back of the microphone. And you kind of already have a beginning setup right here. Gear is extremely important when it comes to video production. But also there's one more thing that can literally make or break your video. And I'm talking about good music. People underestimate the importance of music all the time. But do you really think that Interstellar, for example, would look good like this? I've tried different platforms when it comes to music, and my favorite is gonna be Artlist. It's just the variety of the stuff they have. There's so many different moods like carefree or groovy, but it doesn't stop there. They have sound effects, voiceovers, footage. I mean, they have pretty much everything you need to start creating good videos. I would suggest you check them out, the first link in the description, and also if you click the link and decide to sign up, you're gonna get 2 free months from me if you decide to go with the annual plan. Now we just need to record the video files on something, so we need an SD card. Not to go too much into details, but there's V30, V60 and V90 SD cards, and these are just the different meanings of how fast the information is being written. Usually if you're really into video production and you have a lot of clients footage you worry about, V90s are the best just because they're kind of the most reliable. But I was using a lot of V30 cards when I was first starting out and they work just fine. You can get this 128 gig V30 card for just about $20 on Amazon and it will work great. So let's open a slot for SD card. and we're just gonna put it in, little click, and we are good. Next thing to know about the cameras, if you are filming outside, everything is overexposed. So you need to adjust the settings on your camera to make it less overexposed, but if you adjust the settings too much, you're gonna lose some of this blurry background. So there's a way around it. ND filters. To keep it super simple, what ND filter is kinda sunglasses for your camera. Do you see how I can regulate how bright or dark the image is behind the ND filter? And that's kinda the main point. You just twist it if you want the image to be darker, or twist it other way if you want it to be brighter. You just screw it on your lens and just use it this way. I was first starting out with an ND filter called KNF, and it honestly works great. The big thing to keep in mind about ND filters, they come in different sizes. So you actually need to check out your lens and see what the diameter of the lens is. Mine is 67. I just grab an ND filter and just screw it on top of the lens like this, because I know that the lens is 67 millimeters, ND filter is 67 millimeters, so it's gonna work fine. Now, we're not gonna hold our camera all the time, so we need to put it on something. And that's why we use a tripod. This is SanDisk Travel Tripod. It's super lightweight. I can open the legs like this, I can fix the legs, and then I can just open them further, just screw it, open it even further, and it basically goes to pretty much my height, and I'm 6'9". Well, maybe not my height, maybe a little lower, but it's pretty tall. I think this tripod was close to $150, which is kinda overpriced for the beginner's tripod. But again, if all your equipment is pretty expensive, you want to put it on something stable and something you can trust. Another good company that does tripods and is pretty affordable is SmallRig. I have a lot of SmallRig stuff, so I totally trust them. Or there's another cool thing, little tripod like this. Basically, you can literally open the legs, screw a camera on top right here, and put it on a table. So you can use it when you don't really need to go higher, you know the camera gonna be on a desk, so you can mount it like this. But also you can adjust these legs to your liking, and let's say you can hang the camera to some surface like this and kinda fasten it with the legs like this. This is more creative approach, but this thing is probably about $30. It's a kind of variation of a tripod. You can also put your camera right here and kind of do a little vlogging, so I would still recommend to get it. Again, it's about $20 to $30 and it's a thing you might use. Last but not least is camera light. And light is extremely important when you film content. Just to give you an example, I have a big light dome over there, and if I turn it off, this is how the image will look like. And obviously that's not what we want, so let's turn it back on. Voila. My light setup is pretty expensive, so I'm not gonna recommend it for beginners, but there's small lights like this that you can get that will really make a huge difference. This is Amran Aperture MC, and basically, if I turn it on like this, I'm not gonna direct it to the camera, but you see how bright it is. And if I point to my face, I can regulate the brightness. Let's make it just a little bit less bright. I can add the second light to the scene, or literally use it as my main light if I would not have that big light dome. Additionally, you can change the color of the light, so it's green, yellow, red, orange, etc. And it even has some cool modes like paparazzi right here. Or a cop car, but I would be careful using it. This one was around $70, it's super high quality, it serves me well, but I know that SmallRig also does similar thing. I think theirs is only $20, so it's a cheaper solution from still a good reliable company. The very last thing I want to mention in this list, your camera still gonna die pretty fast. If you are filming 4K, you probably have around 45 to an hour of filming, maybe a little bit more. But the thing that comes in handy is getting few extra batteries on you. They usually come in two with a little kind of dock charging station. You just put them to charge, like this, you charge them, and then when your camera runs out of battery, you can just open the battery capsule, extract the original battery, and replace it with fully charged battery and have another hour to half an hour of shoot time. And I think extra batteries for Sony ZV-E10 are only around $20 to $30. So there you have it. This was a quick guide what 8 pieces of equipment you need to get started with content and kind of feel comfortable about doing what you're doing. Obviously there's more expensive substitutes to pretty much everything I offered, but there's also a cheaper solution. This is kind of the middle ground that is really good for beginners. And also, if you want to learn more about video production, I created a PDF document with 5 business video content tips. It's absolutely free, check out the link in the description, it's gonna be there, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and make sure to subscribe to the channel.